Um, my most influential teacher, and I had to think about this, I really had three, but the one I think that started things for me was my 6th grade teacher, and her name was PSESD Black. And she was my first teacher of color. And she was a woman who walked through the world very sure of herself. And there were things that she taught me that kind of stick with me still today. She taught me to love current events. She taught me the love of reading the newspaper and learning about things that were different than me. She taught me the importance of exploring and understanding the world and looking at it differently. She taught me to ask questions. She taught me to think differently about things that I'd never thought about before or never experienced that way before. She taught me about stewardship and what it meant to be involved in a greater good. She taught me that I could make a difference, and she taught me to speak my truth, which is something that I hold very dear today. And I thought about my first job teaching, but even before that, there were two things that really kind of created, I think, who I am as an individual. One, in high school, I was involved in something called MECA in 1973, and that was Multi-Ethnic Cultural and Communication Awareness, and it was the first time that I think as a school and as a school district, and I grew up in Seattle, that we really considered the impact that race had on students in high school. And I spent a weekend with students of color and other students like myself to really begin the conversation about the worlds that we walked in and how they were alike and how they were different. And it was really a life-changing experience. The second one was after I graduated, I went to work in Montana, and I worked in a very rural community with a large group of Hmong refugees who were not allowed to walk into the building or to come in for any appointments until their time, because the commissioners didn't want them in the lobby because of who they were and what they looked like. My first real experience of just blatant racism and just a blatant disregard for human life. And then the third was my teaching experience in Tacoma, where I walked in to a classroom of 11 to 21-year-old pregnant and parenting teens, and for 10 years taught parenting and helped them care for their children while they were completing their education. And I was humbled. I learned that they had resilience, and they had a power inside themselves that was beyond what I ever probably could do. They were struggling being adolescents and being young parents at the same time, and it's also what caused me to work and to move into early learning, because I felt like if I could make a difference in parents' lives when their children were young, then they could have access, opportunity, and choice. My mom drives my passion. My mom never had access and opportunity to succeed because of what others said about her and who they said she was and what they thought she could or couldn't do. My passion for the ESD is driven by my nephew, who has traveled the preschool to prison pipeline and who deserved better. His school experiences didn't provide him what he needed, nor did it provide him mentorship and support. And he didn't have hope, and everything that happened to him proved them right. My passion comes from my own 2 children who walk through this world in privilege and need to understand that the world doesn't look the same way to everyone as it looks to them. And then my passion comes from my ongoing commitment and the opportunity the ESD has provided in allowing me to help and to know that I can make a difference and change outcomes for children and families.